Welcome back to the Wild Files, the podcast where we unpack the people side of MSP life. I'm your host, Jane Matthews, founder of Wildcat Careers, where we work exclusively with MSPs to fix broken hiring processes, craft cultures people actually want to work in, and build teams that succeed. And today on the podcast, we're talking about something that quietly damages recruitment momentum inside a huge number of MSPs: overcomplicated hiring. Now, most MSPs do not intentionally create messy recruitment processes. It usually happens slowly. Another interview gets added, another stakeholder joins the process, another approval layer appears, and another just one more conversation gets scheduled. And before anybody fully notices what's happening, recruitment starts feeling heavy, slow, operationally confusing, emotionally draining. Meanwhile, candidates, they quietly lose confidence. That is what we're unpacking today: why long recruitment processes damage momentum, why complexity often looks like indecision, why strong candidates disengage quietly, why businesses accidentally create operational drag through recruitment, and why the strongest hiring processes are usually not the longest. Usually they are simply the clearest, because recruitment confidence matters massively. And confidence disappears surprisingly quickly when process becomes unnecessarily complicated. So let's get into it. One thing I think is really important to understand is this: most MSPs do not wake up one morning and decide, well, let's create a confusing recruitment process. That's not what happens. Complexity usually builds gradually. A business hires badly once, so leadership adds another interview stage. Then another stakeholder wants visibility. Then another approval layer appears. And then someone says, maybe we should add a technical task too. And slowly recruitment becomes operationally heavier. That is the danger, because complexity often grows through fear. Fear of making the wrong decision, fear of another bad hire, fear of operational disruption. And frankly, those fears are understandable. Bad hires are expensive, particularly in MSP environments where pressure already exists, teams are already stretched, client expectations remain high. But here is the important part: overcomplicated hiring often creates a completely different problem: recruitment drag. And recruitment drag damages momentum massively. Now, let's talk properly about momentum, because recruitment momentum disappears surprisingly quickly, particularly with strong candidates. Strong candidates usually have options, stability, confidence, which means they evaluate operational confidence very carefully. And confidence drops when recruitment feels slow, confusing, unclear, emotionally fragmented. This is where many MSPs accidentally lose excellent people, not because the role was wrong, not because the salary was wrong, but because confidence slowly eroded throughout the process. And honestly, candidates rarely announce this directly. They do not normally send messages saying, "Hello, your 7-stage recruitment process has lowered my confidence in your operational maturity." No, they quietly disengage. Responses slow, energy changes, enthusiasm, well, that drops. Then eventually, lovely business, but I've decided to move forward elsewhere. That is how overcomplicated hiring often damages recruitment. Quietly, not dramatically. Complexity often looks like indecision. Now, this part matters because candidates interpret complexity emotionally. And emotionally, long processes often create uncertainty, particularly when businesses keep adding another stage, another stakeholder, another approval layer. Candidates, well, they start asking themselves, does this business actually know what it wants? That matters, because strong candidates value decisiveness, not recklessness. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about decisiveness. They want to feel this business understands the role. This business understands what success looks like. This business can make decisions confidently. And overcomplicated hiring often accidentally creates the opposite impression, particularly inside where, MSPs, where operational confidence matters hugely, because MSP candidates already understand that, well, pressure exists, complexity exists, escalations exist. So recruitment confidence becomes emotionally important. Candidates want reassurance that the business underneath the process feels stable. One thing I repeatedly see with high-performing candidates is this. They value clarity, clear process, clear timelines, clear expectations, clear communication. And honestly, clarity creates emotional safety. That matters massively because, well, recruitment is emotional. People pretend recruitment is completely logical. It's not. You see, candidates are evaluating career risk, lifestyle, stress, future, identity, security, which means emotional confidence becomes hugely important. And emotional confidence drops when process feels messy. That is why the strongest hiring processes often feel surprisingly calm. Not corporate, calm. Candidates understand what happens next, what stages exist, who they are meeting, what the business is assessing. That creates process confidence, and process confidence changes everything. More interviews do not always create better hires. Now, this is probably the uncomfortable part, because many businesses, many MSPs assume more interviews automatically reduce hiring risk. But work with me. This is not always true. Sometimes more interviews simply create more delay, more confusion, more emotional fatigue, more opportunity for that momentum to disappear. And this is particularly dangerous in the MSP recruitment environment because strong candidates move. And businesses often underestimate how quickly momentum shifts. While one MSP schedules a fifth conversation, another business may already have made an offer. That is operational reality. This is why structured simplicity often outperforms complicated recruitment. Not because assessment quality matters less, because confidence matters too. And confidence drops when businesses seem unable to move clearly. Now, operational drag inside recruitment, I think this is one of the most overlooked concepts of hiring. Recruitment creates operational drag, particularly when processes become unnecessarily complicated because, well, every additional stage creates more scheduling, more coordination, more communication, more delays, more dependency. And eventually recruitment itself becomes operationally heavy. That matters because overloaded MSPs often already struggle with decision speed, leadership availability, operational bandwidth. So when recruitment also becomes operationally complicated, momentum slows dramatically. And well, the irony is this. MSPs often create recruitment complexity because they fear making a bad decision. But the complexity itself then creates delayed hiring, candidate loss, operational fatigue, recruitment inconsistency. That becomes expensive, very expensive. Now, here is the really important part. Candidates do not separate recruitment process from business culture. They experience them as connected. That means confusing recruitment often creates assumptions about confusing operations. Slow recruitment creates assumptions about slow hiring decisions. Fragmented recruitment creates assumptions about fragmented leadership. Candidates trust process more than branding, always. This is why overcomplicated recruitment quietly damages employer reputation, because candidates experience the operational behavior underneath it. And frankly, experienced MSP candidates are incredibly good at spotting operational maturity, particularly through hiring. What strong MSPs what do they do differently then? Well, the strongest MSPs understand something really important. Recruitment should feel intentional, not exhausting. That changes everything. Strong MSPs, will they clarify ownership, reduce unnecessary stages, protect candidate momentum, communicate consistently, more decisively. And importantly, every stage has a clear reason, not just another conversation because, well, we're unsure. Candidates feel intentionality, and intentionality creates confidence. And that matters because confidence drives recruitment quality, particularly with strong candidates. And the best MSPs also understand simple does not mean careless. Structured simplicity often creates far better hiring outcomes than operational complexity because, while simplicity improves communication, momentum, clarity, consistency, everything becomes calmer, and calm recruitment creates better decisions every single time. Now, I think one of the biggest mistakes businesses make is assuming longer recruitment automatically equals better recruitment. It does not. Sometimes longer recruitment simply creates more operational drag, more candidate uncertainty, more emotional fatigue, more opportunity for momentum to disappear. And strong candidates notice all of it, particularly in MSP environments where operational confidence matters hugely. That is why the strongest hiring processes are usually not the longest. They are the clearest. Because candidates, well, they understand what the process is, what stages exist, what the business values, what success looks like. And clarity creates confidence. That is what great recruitment really does. Not complexity, confidence. So that's it for today's episode of The Wild Files. If this episode made you suddenly want to remove 3 interview stages from your hiring process, good. Because candidates are evaluating operational confidence consistently. And the MSPs attracting strong people long term are usually the businesses reducing that friction, not increasing it. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with another MSP leader currently adding just 1 more interview stage. And if you want more conversations around hiring, leadership, retention, and operational stability inside MSPs, make sure you subscribe. Until next time, stay intentional, stay structured, and as always, stay wild.